Now, the festive season is in full swing. It's time for fun and celebrations, but also causes us to spend a lot more money. How do you make sure that you enjoy the festive season while making sure that you don't overspend? Well, let's get some advice. I'm joined by wealth manager and financial consultant Aldrin Kaunda for tips on how to stick to your budget during this time. Aldrin, very good morning to you. Welcome. Thanks for coming in studio.
Thank you for having me.
A difficult, exciting time, especially looking at how many presents you want to buy, how much food you want to get. I mean, for old school parents, Christmas clothes for the kids. All of that
can be... assorted biscuits also.
You remember the tradition, the assorted biscuits is still a thing for all the relatives. How do you stick to a budget? I mean, how do you even draw up a budget for such an exciting period? December is exciting.
So we're lucky enough to live in a time where technology does a lot for us, right? For one, there's budgeting apps, or you can just even Google, finding spreadsheets that can help you budget, or come to speak to like wealth managers or financial advisors about teaching you how to budget and staying to that budget. So the main thing is just always making sure that you're tracking it. Just don't overspend. That's the one thing. Excitement of overspending is just what's killing us as people.
And it's easy to overspend, right?
It's very easy.
You're buying food, you're buying clothes, you're buying Christmas presents.
Yep.
How do you now pre-plan before you go out to the shops, the specials everywhere, bright stickers showing discounts? How do you even begin to draw up a budget? How do you break it down?
You know, first things first, before I get to that, there's one thing that ruins us spending a lot when we're at stores. You go to the store and they tell you, you know, get this for 20 rand, 5 of them for 20 rand. And when you think about it, you're still spending 20 rand when you're planning on spending 5 rand. Yeah. So that's the one thing we need to stop doing as people. But mainly, it's just a matter of, I have this strategy of, I call it the envelope strategy, right? Whereby you withdraw all the money that you're going to need and you speak to your partners or your family and say, this is how much I'm planning on spending, this is how much I'm planning on doing for holidays, gifts and all these things. And you withdraw that money, you put it in an envelope or a gift card. And you go to the store and you go with that envelope so that you know that you're spending this much. And it helps you because you know what you can get with that. So that when you get to the shops and you see that money's finished, you can't overspend anymore.
Okay.
And you leave those plastic cards at home because, man, credit is just messing up a lot of people. And it's funny that in January, a lot of debt management and consolidation is done in January. And it increases so much that it gets so scary. So withdrawing that money, even though we hate carrying cash because we know how the country you live in is so tough when it comes to crime and stuff. But I think just withdraw that money and use that, or a gift card. It will help a lot.
And in terms of prioritizing it, right?
Yes.
I mean, you speak about online systems, electronic, some debit orders come through, and then there could be some money left over. And planning for January, which is a tough month. I mean, we see those, you know, those tomato sauces flipped over and mayonnaise, to show that cash is tight.
On the last row of your toothpaste where you just cut it in half also.
Exactly. Those pictures doing the rounds. How do you prioritize a budget?
First things first, plan your expenses. Know how much your expenses are and don't exclude anything out. I always try to tell my clients to, especially for December planning, I'd open up a unit trust for them that is locked for 30 days, if not 7 days. And if you want to get it, you obviously get charged with it. And sometimes I know those charges can be minimal, but when you think about it in the long run, it's a lot of money that you're going to be spending just by taking out that money for an emergency. Plan for emergencies also. So I always try to tell people to have 3 months of the expenses saved up, so that should an emergency come up, you use that, but still save money every month for your December activities from January. And on top of that, when you're creating your budget, make sure that you are tracking all the expenses. Don't be scared to take out your bank statement and see how much you are spending, because that's the one thing that kills us. So speaking to your financial advisors and getting those trackings and making sure that you don't overspend. And the one thing that also that we need to do is just your expenses need to come first. Those uniforms that we buy in January, rent, whatever that you need to do, just always make sure that you have it in the back of your pocket so that should it happen that you want to spend money, even your bonuses, don't use your bonus in December. I'd rather you save it up and let it be your January surviving money.
What would count as unnecessary spending, given like this is a time to meet up with friends and family, go out, have lunch, order in, and all of that? What would you count as unnecessary spending that could perhaps be used differently so one can have cash in the pocket?
So I believe more in making memories. So sometimes people just do things because they were just told, right? Like right now, if a friend comes to you, say, hey, let's go for lunch right now, and you weren't planning for it, just go to a picnic. Find things that will cut your cost, basically, instead of just living the social media style and wanting to go to a fancy restaurant just because it's December and it's good to spoil yourself. However, always try to find ways to cut your costs effectively. Picnics, walks on the beach, all those things that can be minimal but still have memories with your family and with your friends. So always try to avoid places and even when you're going on holidays. So I'd once tried this with my friends when we were doing a road trip, and we realized that we're going to spend more money when we get to the place because the food there was a bit expensive. So we packed stuff that's non-perishable when we were leaving, so that when we get there, we just get the minimal stuff, and we try to cut costs as much as possible.
What are the considerations on building better spending habits? I mean, you've spoken to one brilliant idea for a long-distance trip as opposed to stopping and getting takeaways the whole trip. What sort of mindset is needed to ensure that you really understand the value of money, how to spend it, and how to save it?
The first thing is building a backbone to say no. Families, sometimes it's necessary to help people, but if it's way above you, just say no. With your budget, track everything you're doing. And the best way also is to always save money that you don't use, even though there isn't such.
What percentage are you talking here of one's salary?
10% of your salary every month from January. Just try to keep 10%. If 10% is just a lot, then at least 5%. But when it comes to your bonus, I'd advise people to even save half of it. If not all of it, and keep it somewhere where you're not going to be able to get it.
And what are the options for where to keep it? What sort of account one could consider? So
there's unit trust, there's all those day-to-day periods savings. There's something I enjoy using, which is keeping, easy equities. So there's where you can just get dividends and your money keeps increasing there, whereby you won't be able to get it immediately. So it takes time to come to you because of all the approvals that needs to go through it. So buying those dividends and making sure that you're not able to touch that money can help you. So from unit trusts to savings accounts or investments, you can just invest that money and tell your advisor that you don't want to touch it for 30 days. And if it happens that it's an emergency, then that's a different story. And that emergency needs to be life or death. But other than that, just say no.
Just say no. Thank you so much. Let's leave it there for now. Thank you for the advice. Aldrin Kaunda, Wealth Manager and Financial Consultant. Learn to say no. Very difficult during this time of the year. Thanks for your advice.